Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another Liberty Flame Sports Network Rewind. My name is Nick Pierce, and tonight's Rewind is brought to you by our good friends at the River Ridge Mall in Lynchburg. Glad to have you along. Hope you're staying safe in Flames Nation, wherever you might be. And tonight we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to look back on the 2013 Big South Baseball Championship Tournament, a tournament that was won by the Flames and sent them to the NCAA Regionals in improbable fashion, really, as the Flames lost the first game of that tournament, had to fight and claw and scratch out of the loser's bracket to make it all the way to the championship game and then advance to a regional. So a couple of members of that ball club will join us here as we are joined now by former Flames, Ashton, Perritt, and Alex Close. And Alex, Ashton, thanks a lot for joining us here. A couple of guys that will go down in history for Flames baseball and went on to play some professional baseball after that as well. Ashton, I'll start with you because it's been the longest since I've talked to you. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I'm a father now, so I'm not as young as you used to know me. But I like to think I'm wise beyond. I'm not. I'm just rolling along. But yeah, everything's good. Everything's going good. It's good to see you. It's good to see you, Nick, in this capacity.
Yeah, it is. And Big South Tournament MVP that year. We're going to get into some of your heroics here in just a little bit. And Alex, you were a big part of that ball club as well. How are you making it down in Charlotte?
Things are good, Nick. I'm just disappointed you didn't give the proper welcome to Ashton's cat.
You know, I thought that I saw a cat over there on the side.
He wasn't with us till our senior season, but yeah, he was a vital part of the Flame train.
What's his name?
Bilbo. As in Baggins, yeah.
It's funny. I've got my cat Simba's running around here somewhere, but I don't let him jump up on my dining room table, so you're probably not going to see him.
Yeah. His name is on the lease and everything. He owns his house. Like, I'm lucky to be living.
Good stuff. Well, guys, thanks a lot for taking some time here for us. Looking forward to just diving into this. I mean, this was as fun a week to be a baseball broadcaster that I've ever had, or to be around sports, really, that I was a part of from a broadcasting standpoint. I would imagine for you guys, probably the most memorable weeks of your collegiate, maybe professional careers as well.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's just scrolling through like the video you sent us. Yeah, it's incredible. It
was the most fun week, the hottest week, the longest week, all at the same time.
You couldn't really split that week up into days. Like, it was really just like game, and then we slept. Like, we took some naps, then came back for BP. It was just all one blob. I don't know if we ate during that week, but yeah, I think I had to have. But
well, let's kind of set the tone here before we get rolling. And this was the 2013 season. That club would wind up finishing 36-29, but that was after the conference tournament run. You guys were hovering right around the 500 mark going into the tournament. I feel like you had fought through adversity all season long, whether it be injuries to key players or some losses here and there. I remember at one point, just the week before, or a couple weeks before that conference tournament, you guys were on a 5-game losing skid right after you beat Duke, and that was a big win at home. On the off weekend for conference play, you guys get a 1-run win over the Blue Devils. You're feeling good. You're going to Campbell next for a 3-game series. They were on top of the league. Get swept at Campbell, a hard 13-inning loss in the first game of that series. Lose a midweek to JMU, then you lose the opener to Radford. And I just remember after that game, it seemed like it was the lowest of lows for that team that season. Was it not, or what do you guys remember at that point?
Yeah,
no momentum.
When I think back to that season, we had so much firepower, and we just could never get out of our own way, and it just felt like we were fighting it the whole year. And then, like you said, they say peak at the right time, but it felt like we were the furthest from the peak when we needed to be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you look at the strength of schedule, and I mean, that was probably the hardest schedule at my time at Liberty we played. I mean, we played Georgia. We opened up out South Carolina, and but we never really got any breaks. I mean, we were in so many games, but just no momentum. It was really just, yeah, like Alex said, we weren't firing on all cylinders. And we heard about it after every loss. Yeah, we heard about it, and that was part of the frustration. We had so much talent, but we just weren't performing. And as simple as that.
Well, the other thing was, though, despite the fact that you guys weren't able to really corral any momentum until this 1 week in May, I really feel like resiliency was something that went along with this ball club as well, because, as I mentioned, that 5-game losing skid, it feels like the lowest of lows Friday night, Liberty Baseball Stadium, after you guys lose to Radford. You bounced back and took the next 2 in that series going into the conference tournament. So you got yourselves up off the deck. You tried to build some momentum going into the tournament, then lost the opener to Radford, and it just backs are against the wall. And, well, that's where we're going to start here tonight. So you guys ready to hit play here and get going?
Let's do it.
Yep.
All right, so we will hit play and do a watch-along here of some of the highlights of that 2013 conference tournament. Hit play in 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to set the scene here. This is after the conference tournament opening loss to Radford. So this is the next day against Charleston Southern, an elimination game. Bottom of the 7th inning, Ryan Gunther's on the mound for CSU. He's throwing a shutout up to this point, and there you see Trey Wimmer, the senior, who had an incredible bounce-back season, hit .296 this year. And you guys are just looking for something.
Oh, yeah. This is that morning game. This is that, like, you lose at 10 o'clock the previous night, and you're up at 7 a.m. the next day taking BP. Like, I remember these days. Like, this is the game you don't want to be in.
What was this, a 10 a.m. or 11 a.m.?
Yeah.
Something like that?
It's a pretty early day for a college baseball player. Oh.
Yeah, well, there's some momentum you were looking for. Wimmer off the Coleman Adams sign off the scoreboard and left. And that's going to tie the game up at 1.
Yeah, those home runs. This was the last season, or there was still another season to go where they used these different balls that didn't travel as well. So when you hit one out of this park, like, you really hit it. Like, Wimmer crushed that.
Yeah, he was kind of the core of that team. You talked about the bounce back season, and he caught almost every inning, and that was awesome for him to get on one there and just keep us in it. My favorite part, I think I texted Nick last night when he sent the videos, when Trey's about halfway home, he looks into the dugout, points, says, "Everyone get on my back right here."
Yeah.
Well, here we go. We're tied at 1. We've fast-forwarded an inning later. This is the bottom of the 8th now. Ashton, you're up here. Alex, we just saw you standing on third. 2 outs in the inning. They've still got Gunther out there. Gunther was their guy. This guy had a 3.97, I think it was, sub-4 ERA, which was really good on Charleston Southern's club. He won 7 games, which is hard to do playing down there. But he'd go on. He'd play some pro ball, too. He got drafted by the Braves that year, spent a season or 2 in their minor league system. There's a lot of talented arms in this thing.
Oh, yeah. The thing that set him apart is he threw pretty firm. I mean, but very short stride. So it's definitely weird facing him. If you can't really see from this angle, but it just snuck up on you with that short stride. He didn't seem that explosive, but it flew right out of his arm. Alex, you hit a double to get to. Well, you hit a double, right? And then that's how you got to third eventually.
Yes, that sounds right.
Yep.
I don't really remember, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that's been a while.
That's a tough take right there on 2-1, just off the plate. So now it's 3-1. Did you? I mean, we're going to see what happens here, but what's going through your mind here?
So Tillman had this signal with me where he would, like, hold his hand on his side, and he would, like, clench his hand like this. And if he did that, he said, "Hey, look for the bunt." And yeah.
There you go.
He
go ahead, run scores.
Yeah, and I think he was hollering my name. And when Tillman, like, recommends something, it's kind of more like a command. And I respected it, though. I was like, you know what, why not? So yeah.
Well, you could tell they were playing you back at third base, 3-1. They're probably thinking you're going to let one rip here, and you had some wheels too. So you lay this thing down perfectly here.
There were some wheels on third too, I might add.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're going to see your wheels later here, Alex.
When you see this view from over top, that Gunther didn't wheel and throw it to the plate, or I might have been dead to rights.
Ryan Cordell flew out to end the inning there, but that's okay. You guys have what you needed, a one-run lead. So now we fast forward to the top of the ninth inning, one out, tying run at first. And now, Ashton, you've got to come on and close the game out because that was your role. You'd start the game in the outfield, then you'd finish the game on the mound as you're going to face Bobby Eisen here, the former all-conference player for the Buccaneers. He's got that. I don't even know. That's not even Jeff Bagwell. I mean, he's so spread out. Didn't work for him, though. He strikes out there on something tough off the plate.
Nick, I'm pretty sure. Didn't he win some award about the hardest to strike out, or he was one of the top?
It was always between him and Brian Anderud. They were the toughest guys to strike out in the conference, and they were among the toughest to strike out in the country.
I knew it was something because I remember him spreading way out like that. He would just throw his hands at the ball. But
Ashton, was that a changeup, or did you throw him a slider right there? What was that?
No, so sometime that week I learned how to throw a better two-seam.
Okay.
And Wimmer didn't even call for it, but Wimmer's just that good of a catcher to where he knew it was coming. And I didn't appreciate Wimmer at the time for how great of a catcher he was because I would just do stuff like that, and he handled it perfectly.
Oh, look at this. Anderud in the outfield.
Some range. He definitely had more range than next year's second baseman, I'll say that much.
We love you, Ryan Seas.
I love you, Seas. Hey, we see Seas in this. I did see Seas.
That's true. He was redshirting this year.
Yeah,
so Nick, to answer your question, that was about 95 or 96 with left to right downhill movement that he struck out on.
Unreal. So you guys get the win. You knock off Charleston Southern. Now you're really in trouble, though. We go to the next day, and this is to move on to the semifinals. You guys had to play on a Thursday because you lost the first game. So you're down 2-1. This is the top of the ninth inning, mind you. We're going to remind everyone that you're playing on your home field, but you're the 5 seed, so you're the lower seed, and you're playing as the away team, as strange as that feels. But you're down to your last 3 outs here. You're down a run again, and you got to face Michael Costello here from Radford.
Struck out 16 and walked 16.
Yeah, he threw pretty firm. He threw 90 cheese.
Well, this was another guy that wound up playing professional baseball after college. I mean, there were a ton of great arms in this tournament.
Yeah, he had good stuff too. I don't just say that because he punches me out here in this inning, but when I was watching it, you can just see the life on the fastball, but also the breaking stuff.
Yeah, he did a good slider.
Funny thing about Costello is he'd play another season at Radford. Then he went on to play Division II ball in 2015 with Point University up in Connecticut. Orioles would take a flyer on him. They drafted him late that year. He spent a couple seasons in their farm system. So guy that was pretty doggone good on the mound. And he had 9 saves for Radford. He was going for 10 here as Grauer leads off. Boy, that was a big hack.
I love Grauer's hacks.
He never got cheated up there, did he?
Well, I imagine if you're pitching to him, I remember in fall ball he'd take a hack like that, and either he'd crush it or you'd be like, okay, I don't want to throw that again. So I imagine, if I remember right here, he's probably going to get some sliders after a hack like that.
Well, Nick, that's part of what I was talking about. When you look at the makeup of that team in 2013, it's Grauer, Sizemore, Wimmer. Just the meat of that lineup felt like it was a gauntlet. We just never could all get it going at the same time.
And the whole 0-2 here, good take there.
Yeah. I love the stash, too.
But you guys had the Mohawks going.
Yeah, we were trying everything. We had to try everything to get going. I mean, I don't know if I could say everything we did to try to get going, but, I mean, we did a lot of stuff. It was all legal, of course. But.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, the other day I was talking to Trey Wimmer and Mike Robertson about the 2012 season, and I mean, you talk about silly things just trying to get going. He told me the story about, and Alex or Ashton, both you guys might remember this. Jason Murray, assistant coach, put jalapenos in everyone's lockers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we got to get hot. We got to make things a little spicy here.
Yeah. And
it was
Ashton, wasn't this year the fire ants?
The fire ants, I think, yeah. But then there was actually a shirt that said "Better Players, Better Pizza." Papa Jim's. Remember that one? But that wasn't Murray.
That was Hagan the first year. But this, I think during this run, and he didn't bring Fire Ants into the locker room, I promise. But that became his little thing, is we got to be like Fire Ants. And
fastball right on by him. I mean, you've won the battle as a pitcher if you get a fastball by Danny Grauer.
He was throwing 90 or mid-90. I mean, at least 94 if I remember right. Like he was, it was pretty firm.
I mean, tip your cap to him. You got it by him. Danny wasn't happy about it, obviously, but there's one out.
Here's something I noticed too that I don't recall at all. The camera being right there in the dugout by the bat rack. I don't know if you saw it on that one.
I did.
After my at bat. I don't remember them ever before that or after that having a camera in your face after at bat.
Well, this was the first year of the ballpark, and they were still trying to figure things out as far as where to station the cameras and that type of thing. Here's Brian Anderud, and he just promptly goes in the hole here, 0-2, like it's nothing.
Oh, yeah.
You talk about a guy comfortable hitting with 2 strikes. You might as well have just started the at-bat on him 0-2, right?
Yeah, the team felt the emotion of this at bat, though. We could tell in his demeanor that he was thinking this could be my last at bat. And Droid is more of the quiet one, but I could just sense. I was out in the bullpen at this moment, but I think everyone kind of knew that this was could be his last at bat. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, Alex, but morale, nothing has gone right for us this whole season. So during this time right here, we're just almost inclined to think this could be his last at bat.
Yeah, it was just that feeling of it's been such a long year for everybody. We never really got it going. It just felt like it was inevitable at that point. Droid was kind of the Zach Haley of that year, where he wore a lot of the emotional part of that team, and I'd agree with you.
Yeah. What I like about what he does coming up is Droid was like the king of hitting line drives right at people. He would go 0 for 4 with 4 lineouts, hard hit balls. And then
never hit for a lot of power either, but didn't need to.
Yeah. And then what you see right here is we're swinging aluminum here, but he hits it well, gets inside it well coming up. But broken bat single, but it was I just remember sitting in the bullpen I'm like, come on, because if I were to bet, I was thinking, I'm not normally a negative guy, but I'm like, this is probably our last inning with this team. That's just how it felt out there.
There you go.
Then you get a little life.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Ashton, because where's that balance of being a competitor but then also feeling the reality of the situation?
It's you want to always be competitive, and right there, I was probably more rooting for Droid than the team, or Andrew than the team, because I knew that would potentially be his last at bat, and I was so happy for him there, because I knew that But I never, and I sound like a totally negative guy here, but we were conditioned that year. We lost so many games and we had so much talent and nothing was going, which makes what's coming up that much greater. It was just a total, it caught me off guard, caught everyone off guard. Now we got Alex here. He gets a few healthy hacks, I imagine.
Always did.
I'll elaborate too. I think that the competitor in you never wants to. It's not giving up, and you always believe and want to have faith. But it definitely it feels like the weight of the world on your shoulders when, personally in baseball or just the team, just can't get it going. And I think that we were all feeling that about this time.
Yeah. And Tillman would always tell us, hey, it just takes one of you to just put the team on your back. It just takes one of you just to get that big hit. And it's one of those things of course, but then we see it happen, and it really does provide a huge catalyst for what's to come.
Got a good hack there. Oh, did you just hit that kid?
I did.
Fatality.
Alan York made it sound like he wasn't the first kid to get hit that night either on the audio.
That's why they built the playground. They're supposed to be in the playground behind the net.
Hey, someone had to get sacrificed for this win to happen.
But I'm sending kids to the doctor's office.
A kid wore one for the team.
Even when you feel like the weight of the world's on you and it just feels like it's never going to get better, once you are in the box and locked in, whether you're lying to yourself or you actually believe it, it's all about you have to believe that, like, I'm getting that hit right here. I'm hitting the ball in the gap, and Lassik's going to score, that type mentality.
I'm sorry, but what was that conversation right there? What did Coach Thoman just tell you right there?
He was I don't remember what he said to me. He was putting a pinch runner in.
Oh, okay.
Tillman had a way of simplifying things. If he ever pulled you aside, he wasn't very much of a strategist. He would just sit there and just like, hey, he's going to throw you a fastball here and you're going to crush it. And you're like, okay. Like, maybe he talked to you differently, but maybe that's how he talked.
Got a good hack off right there.
Yeah.
Couldn't quite square it up. But no, that's I was talking to PK Keller a couple weeks ago, former outfielder, and about the first night game ever played at Old Worthington Stadium, and said Coach Thoman came over to him before the at-bat as he was getting ready to go hit, and he said, PK, hit one out of here.
Yeah.
That's literally all he said. And then, wouldn't you know, first or second pitch of the at-bat, he hit one off the light tower in right field.
That's funny. I do remember being on deck this at-bat, and a foul ball rolled over towards Radford's dugout, and I ran to get it, and Coach Rakuya had grabbed it, and he walked over to me, and he flipped it to me, and he said, if you hit a home run, I'm going to kill you. And I was like,
their coach was a really nice guy.
About this year, but little did he know he was one batter too soon on that.
Joe Rakuya,
he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, former head coach of the Radford Highlanders. And him and Jim Thoman, they had some battles going back even into the SEC where they were both assistant coaches. High cheese. That's tough.
I'm swinging at that every time. That's just
I was laughing when I kind of watched this before. Again, I had the actual audio, and Alan York said, if I was a guessing man here, I'd guess a hard slider down and away. And I thought to myself, well, evidently I was guessing that too.
That's one of those pitches where it probably got away from him. But those look so good to hit. And it just runs up and in on you.
Well, here we go. We got one man on, two men out. Season's on the line. Justin Sizemore, senior from Newton, North Carolina. Man. And a guy who had started some, was not necessarily an everyday guy, I think that's fair to say, but had DH'd primarily, played a little outfield, and he's in the biggest spot right here. This is perfect, is it not? I mean, this is the way baseball always happens.
Yeah, and I think the funny part is, like I said, he wasn't an everyday guy, but everybody in our dugout knew he had the juice. We've seen it day in and day out in batting practice, and
he was a strong kid.
Yeah, just country strong, and he was a good hitter too.
Yeah. Man, he was always nice to me ever since as a freshman. He's quiet, humble. I mean, couldn't think of a better person in this situation to do something like this. Yeah,
2-0 here. Here's the 2-0. He got a good rip right there on 2-0.
Yeah,
he was ahead of that.
He had seen fastballs up to that point. He got ahead in the count, and to be honest, I'm surprised they threw him another fastball after that, being out in front of that and barreling it up.
Yeah, he was head. Yeah, like Alex said, like he was ahead of that fastball. He was able to turn on it. And
yeah, you'd think they'd try to change speeds right here.
Yeah, I mean and the thing was with him too is he had a respectable slider, if not a very good, but plus slider. So you had to respect it.
Oh,
and then
respect that.
Yeah.
Over the bullpen.
We saw it land, but my gosh, in real time, that ball felt like it hit the mall.
I mean, I still live in. Yeah.
2-run homer. I remember about this that I was on radio and I called it, and remember I just explained here for our folks watching a little while ago that we were not the home team even though we were at home. Well, I called it on radio as a walk-off home run. Because it felt like – I mean, ninth inning, We're at home. We're in our home ballpark. Sizzy just hit a
swing.
Watch Coach Murray on this view.
Yeah, I love Murdog. I'll just say this. I was in the bullpen, and I didn't have my glove on, and I just see that thing. And it probably took me like 10 seconds to realize I got to warm up.
I mean, we're talking about the pressure and the feel that you have. And I can say for me personally, after striking out and all that stuff, when that ball came off his bat, that was just even for a couple seconds, or I guess a whole nother day until we suited up again, just the weight lifted.
Yeah.
So we go down to the bottom of the ninth inning, nobody out, and Ashton Perritt on again here. And Ashton, you're trying to get your second save in as many days, and you're trying to harness all of that emotion, all of that momentum, I guess, now that you guys have. No problem there. Wow. What was that, 93, 94 probably? Out number one.
Who's that guy throwing that hard? It's not me.
Nick and Ashton, can you imagine? You saw at the end of that before we jumped to the bottom of the inning, them appealing that he missed first base. Can you imagine if they would have appealed and overturned that?
So I saw that happen in a Big South softball tournament, and it happened in Liberty's favor. A young lady for Birmingham Southern, I think it was. This would have been like 06, hit a grand slam. And then the head coach, Paul Wetmore, came out for Liberty, said the girl never touched home plate. They reversed the call, took the runs off the board.
Oh.
I could not believe that they reversed the call, but it worked. Only time I've ever seen anything like that before.
I was watching that thinking to myself, holy cow. I don't even remember them appealing it, but if they would have overturned that, there would have been a riot. That was a hammer ball, by the way, Ashton. See ya.
I mean, it just looked easy for you. I know it wasn't, but it just looked easy.
I can't explain to you what – there was this weird calm. It was this it's something I honestly looked for the rest of my career. Like, I had this – I mean, call it what you want. Holy Spirit with me on the mound, I don't know. I'll point to that all day. But, man, oh, man, like, I had this weird confidence and calmness up there. And I don't know if, Alex, if you can – what do they call it? It's that movie where he's like, focus in. I forget the movie. But, like, it's just like you
Kevin
visualize
Costner.
it. Yeah, Kevin Costner. It's like you visualize it, and then it just happens.
Clear the mechanism.
Clear the mechanism. That's it. Yeah. And
something like that.
Yeah.
For the love of the game.
For love of the game. Yep.
Yep.
I mean,
Kevin
Nick,
Costner.
for crying out loud, Ashton just told us he was inventing pitches during the week.
I never told Wimmer. I came to Liberty not being that baseball savvy, and Wimmer was very gracious with me. It's
Can you imagine the mood in the other dugout right now? I mean,
Sizemore's home run, like, we were looking for that catalyst all year, and you'll see from here on a different energy with our team. Like, you'll just, it's like Sizemore's home run just sparked. Like, if you want to say the flame train, but that moment, right? I've never been a part of anything like that. It was incredible.
Shane Johnson had no chance on that fastball. Let's see, 1-2. Stays alive.
I remember. I believe it was before the Charleston Southern game at the start of this. Everyone was down in the dumps. Like you said, it had been a late loss. We had to play early the next day, and Zach Haley took everyone down the line and kind of gave that do or die talk. Like, look, you guys got to figure it out. Somebody's got to step up and find something here. This is going to be the biggest disappointment for all of us. And you found it the day before, and Sizzy got on one here. And I agree. The next day, coming back to play Coastal, it was a different squad.
Yeah, it's unexplainable. It's just it's once in a lifetime thing. I feel like. I mean, it's not the major leagues or anything like that, but I mean, there's nothing you can trade that for, especially the team chemistry we had.
Filthy.
And see, even right here, I need to hug my catcher, and I go for Kimball. Like, what am I doing? Hug the catcher. What am I doing? But
sometimes it's just better to keep it simple and to not think too much out there. And you guys are on your way after this. going on to face Coastal Carolina in the semifinals for a chance to play for a Big South championship. You're halfway there. High fives, hugs, and handshakes all around the ballpark.
All those faces. Rob, Bream, Willie.
Wow.
Bane Kemper. Man, that was a squad.
And the Flames will celebrate at least one more night, Jake.
So here we are, Big South championship game now, and I know that we did skip over the Coastal Carolina day where we have time constraints here, and I know that sounds funny to say we have time constraints when we're in the middle of a pandemic with no live baseball, but time constraints from the standpoint that this is network footage and we can only show so much of it, so just trying to educate our viewers there why we would skip over Coastal Carolina. That was a big couple of wins on Friday, but that ended a 20-game losing skid in the first win. You guys won that game 9-8 as Dalton Britt is going to take off here on Ryan Mattis. And
there's the guy next year. Yeah. There's our guy next year.
There's your bullpen catcher who's going to be the
ESPN 30 for 30. Seize the day.
Wow. I hadn't even noticed that until you pointed that out. Yeah, Ryan Sees down there in the bullpen caught the home run from Dalton Britt. That tied the title game at 1 here.
I got to tell you about Britt is Britt came in after replacing Zach Haley, who Zach Haley was embodiment of hard work, leadership. Like, we call him Diesel because he just worked hard. And he was a great shortstop, made great plays. Britt had some shoes to fill, and he stepped up. This is his freshman year. He stepped up in a big way, and he really shined in South Carolina opening weekend. And from that point on, everyone knew he was legit.
I remember his first base hit at South Carolina. Yeah, he was a stud over there for 4 seasons, and Liberty's had a lot of good shortstops as we fast forwarded here to the 9th inning of this championship game. Still tied at 1. Nobody scored again after that, and Alex, you're up here to lead off the inning. But yeah, Liberty has a history of having some really good shortstops, even going back to Matt Williams around 2009.
Oh yeah.
And 2010, he got drafted by the Cardinals. Then Haley, who you mentioned, I think could have played professional baseball, just didn't get the opportunity. And then
could have played professional baseball.
Oh yeah. Dalton Britt, who did play professionally, and now Cam Locklear is
sail. But something about that Dalton Britt home run too, a lot of people don't know about is I think it was that Radford game after Sizemore hit that home run. Maybe I'm mistaken. Britt hit a ground rule double, but they called it a home run initially, and Britt was kind of sitting there. He hasn't hit a home run in his college career yet, and it was clearly a ground rule double, but the umpires didn't see it, and they actually called him back to second.
I remember that, yeah.
And Britt was kind of like, I want my first home run to be a legit home run, and what a better time to do it in a championship game. I just thought that was kind of and I remember him talking about that.
But that's Dalton Britt, though.
Yeah, it's Dalton Britt, yeah.
So top of the 9th here. Alex, you're on second after that wild throw from the shortstop. And you guys have some life here. You're facing Ryan Thompson, another guy who, by the way, would go on to pitch in pro ball and actually is still in pro ball. Not sure if you guys knew that. He was in Double-A last year for the Rays and was a non-roster invitee this year to spring training. Now, I don't know where his future will lie, given the COVID-19 pandemic and the uncertainty with baseball right now. As we speak of the devil, Britt comes up again here. But Thompson's held on for a while. I got to admit, I didn't expect him to hang on that long.
He was not fun to face.
He was tough. He was a great college pitcher, had some success in pro. I didn't think he'd get this close to the big leagues, though.
Like, that's his fastball right there, and as much movement as that thing had on it. And I kind of naturally dove to the plate. Yeah, and then
you see me trying to take out their best hitter right there?
Yeah, good job. Was that Quattlebaum? Quattlebaum, what's his name?
Felton, wasn't it?
Yeah, Felton, so. Yeah.
They had like 8 guys hitting over 300 that year.
That was confusing.
He was hitting 400.
That was Gardner Webb's best hitter, was Quattlebaum.
Yeah. So first, Alex takes out the kid on the hill. Then he goes for the second baseman. He's working his way. right to left across the field.
Hey, what's up with the A on the G? You guys look like you were the Avengers or something. What?
Oh, that was the year
Alternates?
Yeah, well, we had 9 guys on the field, and 6 or 7 out of the 9 at one point had a letter on their jersey. And I'm telling you, every single game we played, the first game against the team, they'd be like, "What's on your jersey?"
The thing is, too, is these jerseys were our BP tops, technically. They were the thickest BP tops ever, but we're like, hey, we're going to wear them.
You kept winning in them.
Yeah. Oh, Sammy Tormina.
Sweet Sammy.
Oh. Roommate, I love this guy.
He had a tremendous swing.
You know what I didn't really remember was how long of a half inning this was. Once they got on second base. I think it lasted like 12 or 14 minutes from the time that kid threw it away till the end of the inning. Or not even the end of the inning, just till I scored.
Big swing there. Came up empty. Boy, Sammy Termina, he's a guy. And you're right, Alex. This felt like it went on for a while. The tension was just so thick in the stadium. But going back to Termina, I mean, he's a guy that if he had stayed healthy his entire career, you just wonder what he would have done. I mean, he had a tremendous senior year in 2017.
Yeah.
He had a tremendous freshman year going until he got hurt.
Or
As I recall, it was a game at Old Dominion, was it not? Where he was
going for the cycle.
Yeah, he was trying to leg out a triple for the cycle and then dislocated his shoulder sliding into third base.
Or was that the next year? Maybe I'm getting that confused.
I think it was the next year, and he was able to take a red shirt that year. He beautiful swing. I mean, finesse player. Like, yeah.
I
don't know how he hit that.
I think he had just come back towards the tournament because I think I'm pretty sure he had gone back to back with Cordell at Old Dominion before he got hurt.
Yeah. It was him and Kimball playing third, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Kimball played third primarily. Tormina did play in 26 games in 2013. Started 11 of them.
This is just a good at bat. Like, I mean, good. I mean, he didn't have to swing at those, but still, just to keep that bat alive right there.
It's a good take right there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Thompson has really good stuff. I'm still to this day, I imagine. But
I wonder if he's still throwing sidearm.
He's got to be, right?
I would imagine so. Yeah.
The difference in him and a lot of the sidearm guys you saw, like the coastal ones that they ran out for years, he was throwing so much harder than them on the fastball. Yep. So he was running it up in the mid-80s on the fastball, and then the slider was just as slow as theirs. So the change in speed was just huge.
And if you look closely, that shadow, if you watch the ball, leaves his hand in the light and goes in, like, yeah. He the following year, we were playing extra innings against them, and he made an amazing play in front of our dugout. Remember that?
Yeah,
Shepard,
I do. Yeah.
Shepard made a perfect bunt, and he just barehands it, throws him out, and just looks at us in the dugout. And we're just like,
yeah, that was one of the best defensive plays from a pitcher because that would have been a walk-off bunt.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some finesse for you. Off the belt buckle.
Sammy laid it out for the team there. He was wanting to take it. So.
Going back to Thompson, though, this guy has pitched in 162 games in the minor leagues, mostly out of the bullpen. He's got a career 3.35 ERA.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's getting it done.
You see right here, I think Sammy would feel this one but I think adrenaline helped him get through it. Yeah.
It was belt buckle. It wasn't that far below.
Yeah.
What do you know it? Here comes Superman.
He puts it out there for the team. Sammy was always a team guy. I love the dude.
Well, here we go. First and second. One out now, facing the toughest closer in the Big South, and another guy. I mean, I said this. There were so many good arms in this tournament, yourself included.
Toughest closer in the Big South, other than the guy at the plate.
Right. You're right.
I think I had a career average against Ryan Thompson of like and 1 for 12. Like, just the way his – sorry, go ahead, Alex.
I don't know if I ever got a hit since Baum gave me an E on that one.
Yeah. He like I naturally dove at the plate, and his fastball just ran into me. And every scouting report says just throw sliders this kid, and his slider was good. Yeah.
Should point out Alex is not hitting. That was a mistake on that graphic there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alex is at second base. Sammy Termina's on first. 2-0 count now. Ryan Thompson was pitcher of the year that year, guys, in the Big South.
Sub-1 ERA. He earned it. I think he had over 60 innings pitched too as a reliever.
He was a closer that they would bring in like the fourth inning if they were in trouble.
No kidding. Well, Ryan Connolly was that way for Coastal Carolina too.
Yeah.
Speaking of Connolly, you guys got him good in the semifinals.
He owes us a BP bucket still to this day. They had our dugout, and he saw something, and he hit it.
So I'm gonna kind of circle back to what you were asking earlier about like the balance and the competitive fire and feeling the reality. Once we beat Coastal in the first game and then beat them the second game, now you're looking at it and you're like, all right, we're 9 innings away from every negative thought about this season going away. That's when it finally was like, all right, this is real.
That was when it clicked.
Yeah.
So here we go. 2 balls, 2 strikes. What are you looking for here?
I couldn't tell you. I think I was just like
just trying to stay alive.
Yeah, seriously. I know it's like one of those things where you want me to say I had confidence here, but I'm like, man, like I'm just like.
I mean, you could just make it up if you wanted.
Yeah, I really think right here I'm like I'm just swinging, and I hope it's in the zone. Like
I was thinking about swiping third.
Yeah. Like you saw my swing like before that. I swung at like it was a sword.
I'm glad you didn't, Alex.
I noticed in the commentary the guy would say like he's not looking back. I'm like, don't worry, man. Alex is not going to take third.
And Ryan knew that too.
Now he looks back though.
A courtesy look.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at that gamesmanship. So you better focus on me here. Pretty good crowd, too. All the students were gone at this point.
Yeah, that was a lot of people came out just locally the last couple of days.
Oh, here we go. Here's the wheels.
There's the wheels.
Look at that.
Just got in.
Alex, they gave you a hard time for that, but, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with the speed right there.
Hey, you knew you had to be going.
Yeah.
I don't think you ran a stop sign, did you, Alex?
No, I'm glad that the third baseman didn't take a step to his left and catch it because he'd have tagged me on the way.
Hey, that's speeding in a school zone in my book.
Speeding was on first. Never mind, I had to go. No, he's waving.
I think
Dugout was waving me too.
So I might be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure it's what happened. Sammy was at second base right here. Sammy Tormina got on first right there. He got to second and was just watching the play. And he should be standing on third, but Sammy's just watching there, standing, cheering at second. And everyone's like, what are you doing? And he's just like, I mean, yeah.
We're jumping ahead here to the bottom of the ninth because that's all that you guys would get in the top half. And should point out also Ryan Thompson would wind up getting hurt that inning. He had to come out of the ball game. That was really unfortunate for him. Felt bad for him in the moment because, like we talked about earlier, you never know if it's going to be your last game or not. And regardless of what uniform they've got on, you hate to see that for anybody. But good for Thompson. He's been able to stick around in the game for a while. So here you are, Ashton. You've already got, 3 saves already this week.
Did he save one against Coastal? He did, right?
Yes, the first game against Coastal. And then Blake Fulgham, who we have to mention in Game 2 against Coastal, complete game shutout.
Coastal was a good team that year. They got an at-large bid, I believe. And
they did.
Blake Fulgham just stepping up and just shutting them down was huge.
Here we got the highlight package that's already been created for Ashton Perritt because everyone knows at television that you're going to be the MVP, assuming you guys hold on.
Hug Wimmer there, Ashton. What are you doing?
Hey, Ashton, I think that when Nick talking about Ryan Thompson getting hurt that inning, I think that made that play the next year that much more impressive because it was on the same spot of the same field.
Oh, his ankle. Yeah.
That's a good point. I forgot about that. Yeah.
He just wheeled around, and I remember him looking into our dugout with just the look in his eyes like, don't ever try that again. And I was like, respect, man. That was a sick play.
He's like, I did calf raises this off season. That ankle ain't rolling. No, but there's rumors during that week during BP, he also like wore one in the elbow, his throwing arm.
Good.
I mean,
gracious.
I know, but he was just Ryan Thompson was. He was a great competitor. Really was.
Remember David Olson? This guy was a good hitter.
Their whole team hit above 300.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say I was a little bitter because I pitched in that extra innings game during the regular season, and yeah, that was a tough loss because we went to 13, I believe.
It was you against Thompson for like 2 or 3 innings.
Yeah, and I was catching that night, or at the end of that game, Ashton, when they –
Yeah, why were you catching at the end of that game?
The chicken wing.
Mr. Wimmer decided to draw a nice little line for the young player.
Trey Wimmer with his, I think, his second or maybe one of 2 ejections in his career.
Campbell led the nation in hit by pitches that year. And, yeah, that was really hard to –
Oh, jammed him.
Yeah.
Well, the ball that they won on too was, if I remember correctly, was a left-handed hitter and couldn't have thrown it any softer over the third baseman's head.
It was Nick Ray. I remember, and then it was it's hard to get swept, especially in Bowie's Creek because it's like it's a far drive, it's in the middle of nowhere. You get your butts handed and you got to drive back. Is it Bowie? No, it wasn't Bowie's Creek.
Yeah, it was Bowie's Creek. Yeah, and it's a tough crowd down there too.
Yeah. They were very underrated.
They're all over you.
Yeah.
But to point out, this was a very, very good Campbell team. They had 49 wins coming into this game. And everyone thought that regardless of what happened here, Campbell was going to go on to the regionals, but they didn't.
Yeah. And Coastal was obviously the rival, if you will, but the last year and this year, the battles were with Campbell. I mean, we had gotten in the benches clearing incident the year before. Like there was no love lost there at this point either.
Wow. I mean, that's unhittable right there.
Yeah.
Go, guys.
Yeah, fastball right there in that spot. I mean,
I can't tell you. I just
downhill angle, everything you'd want to see as a pitching coach. So here we go. 2 outs. Everybody, look at that crowd. Everybody's on their feet.
Amazing comeback weekend for the Liberty Flames.
I mean, what's
0 out of 10 times?
What was that, Alex?
He said he hits that pitch 0 out of 10 times.
Exactly. Is this Nick Ray or no? Who is this? This is DeLucia, right?
DeLuca or DeLucia, whatever his name is.
DeLucia. So it's real for you guys at this point now, right?
Yeah, like I said, it's weirdly calm. You know, rest of my season, I never had a quieter games than that week on the mound. Maybe Alex can attest to that, where it's just like this total.
Now, what about right there when DeLucia gets the hit and you got the tying run on, and now there's no margin for error? You're still calm?
Yeah. It really was one of those. I think I had a split second thought of like a lefty, and the wind was blowing out to right. But I couldn't tell you. It's something I searched for the rest of my career is just how did I what was going on during that week, you know? And I can't tell you.
I remember the lefty conversation or them hollering left-hander, make sure I'm on the line at first. But I remember getting that second out and having the strangest feeling I'd ever had on a baseball field. Like you said, Nick, it finally was real. Like this is about to happen. And don't know if I ever had more confidence that they weren't going to sniff him on the mound. I just knew there was no way. The kid ran into a fastball and hit it to left field for a base knock, but I still, after seeing what he had done all week, like I had full confidence. I think we all did, Ashton.
Well, and then that fastball right on by him right there to get strike one.
This is my favorite pitch of the inning right here.
Buckler. Everybody up on their feet again, and this club hadn't been to a regional. And that's the other thing, is this team had been fighting to get to this point for not just this season, but for years. And there it is.
Oh, so much emotion right there.
Yeah, you could tell.
It's like it was a sprint and then it just a way. It's like that ringing in your ear of just quiet of like.
Look at Coach Thompson. He couldn't make it to the top of the pile.
That's not how you social distance right there. That's not how you do it. That's I will say, moment. You didn't hear me, but I was yelling "get off" because I thought I was going to die.
I remember that, Ashton. You were right next to me in that pile.
That hurt. That was a very narrow pile. Like we could have like made it more of like a pancake, but that was just like a volcano. And yeah, that was yeah, that was incredible. That was the moment where that week just came to an end in an incredible way. And that team we went through ups and downs that whole season. But to end it, like, not end it right there, but to get to that point, just the confidence and camaraderie, and you can't really explain it. Like, I mean, I remember,
well, no, I was just going to say you could argue that there were better teams for the Flames than that season. I mean,
the year before.
Yeah, just the year before, 41 wins. 2010, 1 over 40 games. The following year, 1 over 40 games. But there was something special about that team, that year, that week, where it just all clicked. And then, of course, you guys would go on to Columbia, South Carolina. You'd beat Clemson twice, knock out the Tigers, get to a regional final, give South Carolina all it wanted. And that's how things wound up. But, wow, what a moment.
Yeah, I think for me, it had been such a long year that for the first time was able just to completely wipe the slate clean mentally and enjoy that with all the guys on the team and just look forward to the regional, knowing didn't matter if you were the number 1 ranked team or if you were us sneaking in, everyone was on even ground and it was going to be a fight.
Yeah, I mean, just the team effort that whole week. We didn't get to see we didn't see the coastal stuff, but so many people stepped up throughout the week. I mean, you look at like they named me MVP, but I couldn't get out of my head that without Sizemore's home run, I'm on my way to Ohio for summer ball. Without Britt's home run, without Kimball, a little freshman Kimball, he got a double against Coastal for 2 RBIs. I remember that.
Wimmer's home run.
Wimmer's home run
every inning that week.
Yeah.
Blake Fulgham, the second game against Coastal.
Yeah,
Jared Lyons, the first game.
Yeah. How about Josh Richardson? Yeah. I mean, that game against Campbell.
Short rest and throws 8 innings or whatever that was.
Yeah, and some of the game we just watched, Josh Richardson in that game, he only had 1 strikeout. But if you guys remember, Richardson had kind of, I don't want to say reinvented himself at this point, but he wasn't throwing as hard as he once was. But he goes 8 innings, 1 unearned run, 5 hits.
Yeah, and I think, Ashton, correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard it on the audio when I was watching it. They said that there was like 15 or first
13.
runner reached since the 5th inning.
Yep.
Was the guy in the 9th inning. Josh Richardson had gotten everybody in the 5th through the 8th. And then
he retired the last 11 guys he faced.
They scored in the first inning, I believe.
Are you kidding me?
They scored in the first inning, and a really cool moment there. It was the 8th inning after we went ahead. And I remember I got back to the dugout or something, and Josh Richardson was sitting on the dugout. And then they were asking him, they're like, "Do you want the game? It's yours." And he actually said, "No." He's like, "No, this is Perritt." Like, and that was kind of like and that was a really cool moment because I'm like, he has every right to go out there and get the CG, but he handed it to me, and that's something that was really cool in that moment. And that team was you take it for granted while you're in it, but the chemistry going there, like, yeah, we didn't fire on all cylinders throughout the whole year, but it clicked at the right time. Yeah, so it's just seeing those faces, it just makes you just wish we could all gather again, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, 36-29, the final record. As I said, you guys got to the regional final the next weekend at South Carolina. Just a great memory, and certainly I think got the program over the hump. It had been trying to get to a regional. with, again, you could argue better record-wise ball clubs, maybe better talent in some areas, but certainly this one all came together at the right time, and that's what happens with championship teams a lot of times. So great stuff, guys. I really appreciate going down memory lane with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for doing this, okay?
Hey, thank you, Nick.
Enjoyed it.
Pleasure.